evidence suggests sightings are nothing new. 20 to 30,000 years ago, people drew remarkably accurate representations of mammoths, boars, and other animals on the walls of caves in what is now southern France and northern Spain. These same people also drew disc-like objects. French archaeologist Leroy Guéret catalogued these drawings. Here are some isolated images. Perhaps the trailing dots represent movement. Several unexplained flying objects appear in medieval art. This 10th century fresco is in a church in the former Republic of Yugoslavia. A man is at the controls of a pointed airship with what appears to be a jet blast at the rear. This French token, minted in the 1680s, seems to show a circular object floating in the sky. Italian friar Filippo Lippi painted this exquisite depiction of the Madonna, Jesus, and St. John, circa 1500 AD. It hangs today in the Palazzo Vecchio Gallery in Florence, Italy. Over the Madonna's left shoulder flies an unidentified object. A man and his dog watch from below. Would the discovery of extraterrestrial life have a devastating effect on organized religion? We spoke with Professor of Systematic Theology, Ted Peters, at the Center for Theology and Natural Sciences in Berkeley, California.
My answer to that is no, it would not. But it's an important question because there's a lot of disinformation about this being spread from two sources. And the first source is your kind of radical secular scientists who want to continue to believe the myth that religion is fragile, that religion is dogmatic and narrow, and so they tell this false information that religion is centered on earth, it's centered on the human race, and Carl Sagan would be a good example of someone who perpetuated this belief because it always makes the scientist look like the great intellectual savior and that anybody who's religious is neurotic. Well, this is a complete misreading of both religion and history. This issue was debated in ancient Greece even before the Jews and the Christians come on, between the atomists on the one hand who argued that there were many worlds and that these worlds all had their organization, that reality was plural. When you get to Aristotle, who's really one of the dominant philosophers of ancient Greece, he says, no, there can only be one world, and he argued on the grounds of perfection, that perfect things are simple and they're unitary in character. Looking at liberal Protestants, and this is the area that we work with here in Berkeley, I can think of some of the most important theologians who have addressed it, such as Paul Tillich or Wolfhart Pannenberg, or a fellow by the name of Christer Stendahl, former dean of the Divinity School at Harvard and Bishop of Stockholm. Stendahl worked again on a NASA committee having to do with extraterrestrial life and said, you know, if we discover these beings in outer space, it'll just show me how big God's creation really is.
Comparative religion scholar Joey Condon is one of those who feels differently.
Religion as a whole is very earth-centric. All of the religions are based themselves on the reality that we are alone. And basically the definition of philosophy and religion is humankind's search for their place in this universe. But in many ways that's not accurate because it's not the universe, it's this earth. The reality is that if an alien force comes here, the question naturally is, do they have a soul? Do they have a spirit? Theologically, within the Christian circles, that would next lead the question, did Christ have to die for them? Is original sin present in their being? If not, then do they have a soul? What are they? If Christ had to die for them, did Christ go and die on their planet, and another planet, and the other planet? There are multitudes of alien life forces. Or is this just a statement that, hey, there's a larger evangelistic mission field than we ever imagined, and we have to convert the masses?
The larger philosophical issue is, what about morality? What about politics? What about the way we get along as beings? Would they have discovered principles of harmony? Would they have as much crime as we do? Would they have the passions of jealousy, envy, and the things that cause so much destruction?
Most of our theology and philosophy is not broad enough even to accept other faiths and other races within our own human family. I think we've seen that in the centuries of religious experience, that we have had not as much tolerance as the man from Galilee who taught tolerance. Yet we have not had that amongst our fellow human beings. What then are we going to do with alien life forces?